Alright, good morning class and welcome to session 10, paragraphs, structure and reference. Can you see the slide here, this page?
Yes, okay.
Alright, the two issues here are related, paragraph structure and reference. Very quickly, by reference here, we mean probably the larger picture will be cohesion, and even the more larger, if I may say, picture is coherence. So paragraph, structure and cohesion. Reference comes under cohesion, and cohesion comes under the broader concept of coherence. So we're going to talk about paragraph parts, structure, and also cohesion or cohesive devices. One of which is referencing, the use of the pronouns, but there are other devices, some of which are mentioned in this unit, such as the use of synonyms, which you guys did not also touch upon. The use of synonyms and the repetition of key or topical words. But let's pick up one issue at a time. So the first issue is the parts of the paragraph. But you should then remember that the paragraph has a structure and also needs to have cohesion. All pieces of academic writing require you to organize your writing into cohesive and coherent paragraphs. The paragraph itself, being the basic underlying unit for your writing, needs to be cohesive and coherent. It should also be structured and contain a topic sentence and supporting and developing sentences. So, structurally, and this is known to you, so we're going to whiz through this quickly. Structurally, as you know, a paragraph has or consists of three parts. Of course, you know that a paragraph is a group of related sentences. Related, not unrelated. Related sentences which develop or discuss a topic or an idea. Structurally, again, a paragraph consists of three parts, including a topic sentence, supporting and developing sentences. In addition, a good paragraph is coherent, which means that the sentences are logically ordered and connected. So what do we have here? What have we said so far? Structurally, a paragraph, any paragraph you read, apart from the introductory paragraph to essays, because they have a different structure. Paragraph, the introductory paragraph to an essay has a different composition or structure. We have a hook, the first sentence or couple of sentences, or they represent what we call a hook, and then you have some background sentences, and finally the thesis statement. So the structure of the introductory paragraph to an essay is a bit different, but other paragraphs, they're the same. Structurally, they have a topic sentence, they have support, number 2, supporting and developing sentences, and number 3, concluding sentence. Let's talk about the topic sentence also quickly. The topic sentence is, of course, the most important sentence in a paragraph. The topic sentence has two functions. It conveys or communicates or states the topic, whether it's sport, whether it's education, whether it's Dr. Aladdin, whether it's technology. So it states the topic and what aspect about the topic you want to talk about. That's technically the controlling idea, or the focus, or the angle of your writing. So whether you call it controlling idea or focus or your angle of writing about the topic, that's the meaning is the same. So the topic sentence states the topic, the subject, in other words, and the controlling idea. This is number one, or issue number one about the topic sentence. Number two, the topic sentence, though typically it is usually the first sentence in a paragraph, typically, sometimes it can be located somewhere else. So it's important to know that the topic sentence is not necessarily always the first sentence in a paragraph. So it is not blindly the first sentence. So if you read the first sentence, it doesn't sound like the topic sentence, then look for it somewhere else. It's crucial to remember that the topic sentence again is the most important sentence in the paragraph, and when we read, we look for topic sentences, because the topic sentence, especially when we skim, to have what is skimming? You still remember, skimming is looking for the main ideas by looking at the places where the topic sentence is. Typically the first sentence, but as I said, the first sentence sometimes cannot be the topic sentence. So if it doesn't sound like a topic sentence, then look for it somewhere else. Because it's the only sentence in the whole paragraph that has this unique structure, the topic and the controlling idea. The other sentences are either supporting sentences, or developing sentences, or the concluding sentence. So it is not repeated anywhere. The closest sentence to it will be the concluding sentence, if there is one. By the way, so this means that not every paragraph necessarily has a concluding sentence, especially if the paragraph is part of a longer piece of discourse, like part of an essay. But usually standalone paragraphs have a concluding sentence. But part of an essay, the concluding sentence might be the last sentence. Sorry, the last paragraph will be concluding for the whole essay. So where else can we find the topic sentence? The topic sentence can be after a few sentences. By the way, how many sentences are there in a paragraph? The length, in other words, of a paragraph. Please keep your camera on. The length of the paragraph. A paragraph can be anywhere between 4 sentences to 10 sentences. 4 sentences to 10 sentences. It can be, of course, longer, but it's not preferable to have, long or lengthy paragraphs. If you have more ideas, then break down your ideas into another type of writing, an essay, where you will have the freedom to incorporate more paragraphs to express, more complex ideas. So typically anywhere between 4 to 10 sentences. Back to the topic sentence. It can be the first sentence. It can be after a few sentences. It can be in the middle. It can be the conclude. It might be the last sentence in the paragraph, and it might also be split into 2 parts. The topic sentence. Pay attention, guys. This is important for reading comprehension as well as writing. But we're not talking about writing now, because when you read, as I said, your comprehension will depend on the topic sentence. The rest will be the details. So it might also be split into two parts, meaning at the beginning the first sentence will have part of the topic sentence, and later on, maybe towards the middle, we will have the other part. For example, quickly, let's say that a certain paragraph has begun by talking about the advantages of driving a Honda. Okay? And then towards the middle of the paragraph, the writer said, however, driving a Honda has one major drawback or disadvantage, and that is blah 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 blah. So now it's obvious that the main idea of this paragraph is not just the advantages of riding a Honda, driving a Honda, but also the advantages and disadvantages of driving a Honda. But have you noticed the topic sentence is split? Part of it at the beginning and part of it in the middle. But when you want to think of the main idea, what's this paragraph about, then it is about the main advantages and disadvantages of driving a Honda. If you just say the advantages and ignore that downside, then you haven't completely comprehended the paragraph. Issue number 3 about the topic sentence. Issue number 3 is that the topic sentence can sometimes be even implied. We've said it can be at the beginning in terms of location, in the middle, at the end. So initial position, medial position, final position, or split into two halves. See how many scenarios, how many positions. And it can even be implied. So number 5, it can even be implied, meaning it is not stated, meaning it is not there as one single sentence, whether complete sentence or split into two halves. By the way, the topic sentence must be a complete sentence. Again, see, I have said this 100 times. I usually repeat this 1,000,000 times to my students, but when I ask them questions, they make mistakes. The topic sentence is a complete sentence. If it is split into two halves, you rewrite it as one sentence. But do not give me a phrase. Do not give me a title. If you look, for example, at page 146 now, quickly, 146. You should be opening your book like this in front of you. If you look at page 146, in the previous class, I mean, not your class, the other section, a few days ago, if you look at the paragraph at the bottom of page 146, when I asked about the topic sentence for this paragraph, one of the students said, teenage workers in the US. Teenage workers in the US. This is a title. It is not a sentence. It is not the topic sentence. The topic sentence is a sentence. But despite repeating this many times, in reality, I find the students, if I give you paragraphs in the exam and I ask you to write the topic sentence, some will write a title or half a sentence, and they will get mistakes, so it can also be implied. If it is implied, it is not there as a sentence. And so what do we do? How do we know what's the main idea? Okay, when you read the paragraph a couple of times, you will understand. From the sentences, you will come up with the main idea. You will know what the sentences are about, and you, in this case, formulate, write the main idea sentence in your own words. So if you read a paragraph that does not have a stated main idea, and someone else asks you about what's this paragraph about, or if this is a question in the exam, what's this paragraph about, do not just pick up any sentence. If it is not a topic sentence and you cannot find it anywhere, then it is implied, which means that you have to rewrite it in your own words. You have to formulate it in your own words based on the understanding, your understanding. What's the topic and what's the controlling idea? Reformulate them, write them in your own words, and this will be the topic sentence. Sometimes, or in many cases, a paragraph may have a stated main idea as well as an implied main idea also, as well as an implied main idea. If you want to know more about this, go back to the textbook we studied in reading skills a year ago, developing reading skills. There is a whole chapter about stated and implied main ideas. This is, I think, chapter 3. Can you see here? Chapter 3, the title, topic, stated main idea and implied main idea. So you may want to visit this chapter to know more about implied and stated main ideas. There are a number of videos for I want to use a chat for what's his name, this linguist, for Frank Marco, a number of educational videos. His channel is titled Snap Language. So we may not have time to look at these videos, but I advise you to look for these videos about implied main idea, topic, sentence in Snap Language after the class. So go to Snap Language, look for the videos that are relevant to implied main idea or main idea, the videos about this, and watch them on your own. If we have time, we might watch some of them today, because I haven't given you examples. I've just told you that theoretically a topic sentence can be the first sentence, can be in the middle, can be the last sentence, can be split into two halves, can be implied, and can be both stated and implied. For examples of all these cases or positions or locations, look, as I said, for these videos to see examples of this. Okay, this is one thing. Now, what's the second part in a paragraph? We've said structurally a paragraph has three parts: a topic sentence, and number two, who can recall this? Number two is supporting and developing sentences. Can anyone tell me the difference between supporting sentences and developing sentences? Of course, the final part, the third part, is the concluding sentence. So the body, the middle part, is the supporting and developing sentences. Supporting sentences assesses, and developing sentences. Can anyone tell me what's the difference between supporting sentences and developing sentences? Can you look here again? You see, guys, structurally a paragraph consists of three parts: a topic sentence, number one; two, supporting and developing sentences, and a concluding sentence. In addition, of course, this will be the second part of my discussion. A paragraph should be coherent. So this will be this is reference here in the title of the unit. This I will discuss under cohesion. Reference is part of cohesion. So two parts: structure and cohesion. So developing sentences, supporting sentences. Satyawan, Kishan.
Doctor, I would suppose that a supporting sentence would present an idea or a topic, whereas the developing sentence expands on the idea, like it provides examples.
All right, Kishan, that's almost right. But I want you to give me, if you recall from, I've just mentioned that we took a reading skills class before. In that reading skills class a year ago, uh, in that textbook, the authors used a different term or two different terms for supporting sentences and developing sentences. Can anyone recall these synonymous terms? In that book, in developing reading skills, we did not call them supporting sentences and developing sentences. We call them something else. Of course, the meaning is the same. But who can recall what we call them then? Chapter 4. Chapter 4 of that book. What did we call them? This is sad.
Supporting details.
Supporting details are of two types. And today we're discussing them under supporting sentences and developing sentences. But in that course, we introduced the same idea under two different terms. I mean, the label, the terminology was different, but the meaning is the same. So what was the terminology, the terms we used?
Major and minor details.
Major details and minor details. Yes. So by supporting sentences, we mean the major details, and by developing sentences, we mean the minor details. The minor details. And I suppose you know the difference between major and minor, or now supporting details or supporting sentences and minor sentences. So as Kishan said, when a writer has a main idea sentence, a topic sentence, he needs to support that main idea. And so you need to understand, central to your understanding of paragraph is understanding, I am using a chat, understanding point and support. Understanding, point and support. Every paragraph has a point to make, has a message. This point is supported by support. So whenever you read a paragraph, look for that point, the message, the topic sentence, and how it is being supported. Well supported or weakly supported. As you read it critically. As you read it critically, look for that support. The quality of it. So understanding point and support in paragraph. The same applies to an essay. Point and support. Point and support. Point and support. So the support comes into the form of supporting sentences, and sometimes as the writer may want to support a supporting sentence with an example, with some further detail. So this will be a developing sentence. Let's look at this paragraph. Kishan, can you read this paragraph, please?
Environmental pollution is having a devastating effect on mankind. Firstly, water pollution reduces valuable supplies of fresh, clean water needed for daily consumption. Most of the pollutants which enter the water come from industry, sewage systems, and agriculture. These include chemicals and harmful wastes, from animals and plants. Another devastating effect is brought about by air pollution, which turns fresh, clean air into smoky, unpleasant smelling air. The result of air pollutants is the harm it has on human health. For example, the gases which are released into the atmosphere can cause such diseases as emphysema and cancer.
All right, well done. Now, let's break down this paragraph into the type of sentences we have. There should be, as I said, in a paragraph, there are 4 types of sentences. There must be, excuse me, Alhamdulillah. There must be a topic sentence, and we have just talked about the topic sentence. Even when it is not there, when it is not stated, when it is implied, you need to reformulate it. There must be at the end the main idea, because the sentences are related and they are making a point. So, look for the topic sentence, look for supporting sentences, look for developing sentences, DS, and look for if there is the concluding sentence, the CS. So, we're going now to break this paragraph into its TS, into SS's, DS's, and CS if there is. No sentence should be redundant. Every sentence in a paragraph has a function. Let's see. To begin with, what is the topic sentence of this paragraph?
Doctor, I believe it's the first sentence.
I want everyone to participate, not just Kishan. It's not only Kishan who wants an A.
I believe that it's the first sentence first.
How do you know that it is a topic sentence?
Because the second sentence it says it states its first point.
Okay, this is how you this is how you know it. Alright, I want you to look at the sentence itself and tell me from its structure why you think it is the topic sentence. Okay, in other words, what is the topic and what is the controlling idea? If it's a topic sentence, then it must state 2 things, the topic and the controlling idea. What is the topic?
Environmental pollution.
The topic is environmental pollution, not iPhone, not what? Not whatever, not another subject. It's environmental pollution. Okay, what's the controlling idea? What's the angle of discussion? What's the focus? What is it about environmental pollution the writer is talking about?
Having a devastating effect on mankind.
Having a devastating effect on mankind. So the author is going to talk about environmental pollution from the point of view that it has a devastating effect on humankind. I want to draw your attention to one thing, never said before to you. The controlling idea usually arouses questions. The controlling idea stirs questions in the reader's mind. For example, here, let's go back. Environmental pollution is having a devastating effect on mankind. Having a devastating effect on mankind. A devastating effect, how? Why? So the controlling idea makes the reader ask questions. And he or she should expect an answer to such questions in the support. Having a devastating effect on mankind. How? Why? In what ways? So answer should be found in the body. So whenever you read, the controlling idea should stir some questions, so for you to anticipate their answers. So when you read the controlling idea, the topic sentence, formulate the questions. Part of your reading comprehension. Anticipate the questions. And then see their answers. This will help you engage with the text. Okay, move on. Okay, what about the first sentence? What type of sentence is it, Satyawan? Read the next sentence and classify it.
Supporting sentence.
Read it first and then classify it.
Firstly, water pollution reduces valuable supplies of fresh clean water in current consumption. I suppose it's supporting sentence.
Supporting sentence, you mean SS?
Yep.
SS number what? SS1, SS2, SS3?
Number one.
So,
That's number one.
so the first sentence is TS. I am writing now. Let me just make like a break. The kakaka. Okay, the first sentence is TS. The second sentence is SS number 1. Okay, move on. Alia, move on. Read the next sentence and classify it.
Most of the pollutants which enter the water come from industry, sewage systems, and agriculture. I believe it's in sentence 2.
Is it supporting sentence? Is it SS2, or is it giving more information, illustration, exemplification of SS1?
I believe it's the latter, which is what you said, for more clarification on SS1.
And so what is it? SS or DS?
Developing sentence.
Is it SS2 or DS or DS1?
Yes, one.
DS1.
So it is not supporting sentence 2. It is not introducing another point. So it is DS number 1. Developing sentence number 1 for supporting sentence number 1. Okay. Esther, the next sentence.
These include chemicals and harmful waste from animals and plants.
Uh-huh.
I think it's DS2.
Sorry?
I think it's a second developing sentence.
It is then DS2. Bravo. So we have 2 developing sentences so far for supporting sentence number 1. Okay, move on. Pravalina, the next sentence. Quickly. All right, Pravalina is absent.
Hello. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Sorry, Dr. I'm having some interconnection problem. Right. So another devastating effect is brought about by air pollution, which turns fresh, clean air into smoggy, unpleasant smelling air. I believe this is SS2.
This is SS2. It is. So now this is supporting sentence 2. Pravalina, what's the discourse marker, the transition used to introduce this supporting sentence?
Another devastating effect.
Another devastating effect. That's right. Okay, the next sentence, what is it? Come on, guys, the next sentence.
Supporting, developing.
Is it supporting sentence number 3 or developing sentence number 1 now for supporting sentence 2? Come on.
I think it's developing sentence 1
So
for SS2.
DS1 under SS2.
Yes.
Okay, move on. What about the next sentence? What about the next sentence?
Doctor, I think it's DS2 for SS2.
It is. It is DS2. Can you write this in the chat column? Okay. What is the discourse marker used to introduce this developing sentence? Quickly. For example, what is the discourse marker used to introduce the first supporting sentence? Firstly. These discourse markers, of course, help create cohesion. Paragraph, structure, and cohesion. These discourse markers, just like pronouns, reference, and repetition of keywords, topical words, in this case, air pollution, environmental pollution, the repetition of keywords, the use of synonyms, the use of pronouns, and the use of cohesive markers, discourse markers. All these tools help create connectedness in the text. The use of pronouns, the use of synonyms, because when you use a synonym, this means that you are using a word for another word that came before, and so you help link what has come next to what came before. So this way you show connectedness. So the use of pronouns, the use of synonyms and antonyms, the use of repetition of topical words, repetition of topical or key, topical meaning the topic, words, and use of discourse markers. These are among the major tools to help create connectedness, meaning to link sentences together. We can also use conjunctions, whether between sentences or within sentences, to help again create connectedness. So these are among the tools, meaning all these are cohesive devices. Cohesive devices. They are ways to make the text cohesive and so coherent. Cohesive is sticking together to express one meaning, one unit. Coherent, the ideas flow logically and smoothly. So coherence is the logical organization and the flow smooth of ideas in a text through paragraphing and sequencing. So using these discourse markers, firstly, another devastating effect, for example, etc. These are among the cohesive device. Well, they're called discourse markers or transitions. One type of cohesive device. Because we said, if you remember, it is not enough to have the three parts: topic, sentence, supporting sentence, and developing sentence. And in addition, you need to have also cohesion and coherence. Sentences have to be here. The paragraph, you're writing, you must organize your writing into cohesive and coherent paragraphs. So to make a paragraph coherent, you need to have cohesive devices. There are other things I will try to mention in the context of this discussion. So there are two things we're discussing simultaneously: the structure of the paragraph and the devices we used to create connectedness between the different elements of the paragraph or the text to make it meaningful, to make it unified, to make it coherent. Okay, so structural parts of a paragraph, as we have a topic sentence. In the paragraph above the topic sentence, as we have said, Kishan is environmental pollution is having a devastating effect on mankind. The topic is environmental pollution, and the controlling idea, the focus, is having a devastating effect on mankind. Environmental pollution being or having devastating effects on mankind. So this is the topic sentence. The supporting sentences, we have two supporting sentences in the paragraph above about environmental pollution. These are the two: firstly, and another devastating effect. Firstly, and another devastating effect. By the way, I want to draw your attention to a page in the previous textbook, Developing Reading Skills, page number 70. You can mark this down and refer to it later. Page number 70, identifying major and minor details. In other words, identifying supporting sentences and developing sentences. On this page, page 70, there is a table 4.1. In this table, you can see two types of transitions or discourse markers. Discourse markers used to introduce supporting sentences or major details, and discourse markers used to introduce developing sentences. So please, you can refer to this at home. For example, the transition, for example, is used to introduce a developing sentence, not a supporting sentence. So you have a table here that can give you, it classifies discourse markers into two types: ones that introduce supporting sentences, and ones that introduce developing sentences. You can refer to this on your own at home. Okay, developing sentences further develop the points. So in the supporting sentences, as Kishan said, by providing more information or an example, a reason, a clarification, etc. For example, the point about water pollution is further developed into the following two developing sentences. So the first point, water pollution, the first supporting sentence, is further developed through two developing sentences, DS number 1 and DS number 2. The next supporting sentence about pollution being about another devastating effect is also supported by two also developing sentences. And so the pattern of this paragraph is this: you have a topic sentence, and then supporting sentence number 1, and then plus DS number 1.1, and then DS 1.2, and then you have supporting sentence number 2, and then 2 developing sentences, DS 2.1, DS 2.2. So when you write a paragraph, also you should be aware of whether whatever sentence you write is the TS or an SS or a DS, and the order also, and a CS. And when you read a paragraph, if you're skimming, you can say with the main idea, the topic sentence. If you're interested in the details, then you need to know which sentence is SS, which sentence is DS. Excuse me. Next. Of course, a paragraph can have a variety of different structures. It doesn't have to be a topic sentence and then a supporting sentence and then 2 developing sentences, another supporting sentence and then 2 developing sentences. It doesn't have to be this way. You are the writer. You could have other patterns. For example, you can have a topic sentence and then you have 3 supporting sentences, and for each sentence, SS1 for example, it had only 1 developing sentence, while SS2 has 2, also 1, 2.1 and 3.1. You could have other patterns. You may write a paragraph or read a paragraph only with supporting sentences without developing sentences. If there is no need for extra exemplification or clarification, then there might, so it is not a must to have a developing sentence for each supporting sentence. So you could have only supporting sentences. You could have 1 supporting sentence and supported by developing sentences, 1 without. But you should clearly know which one is supporting, which one is developing. Okay? And the discourse markers introducing each are different also. As I have said, the table, I think on page 71 I have just said, introduces the kind of discourse markers or transitions used to introduce each type of supporting detail, whether supporting sentence or developing sentence, major or minor. Are you with me, guys? We've already talked about the paragraph length, and now let's talk about another issue, and that is cohesion. Paragraphs, structure, and cohesion. Reference. I've already talked about it by saying that we achieve cohesion, connectedness, linkage, grammatical linkage, and lexical linkage through the use of pronouns, synonyms, repetition of keywords, discourse markers, conjunctions. But let's let's discuss it briefly in a more organized way. But before that, let's listen to this video about paragraph structure. Oh, I have to present? Or can you see? Do I have to present? Sorry?
We can see the video.
Okay. Let's watch it before we move on to cohesion.
Welcome to Study English, IELTS Preparation. Today we're going to look at paragraphs. But what's a paragraph? Well, it's a group of sentences that are related and develop an idea. You need to use paragraphs in any formal writing you do, especially in the IELTS writing test. Let's listen to a weather expert talking about clouds, and then we'll look at how a paragraph works.
Clouds have two effects. Now, clouds obviously decrease the amount of incoming radiation, that is heating, from the sun. That then affects how many more clouds form. It affects how hot it gets in the daytime. At the same time, clouds at night time prevent radiation or heat escaping from the Earth. This not only affects temperatures, but it affects the atmospheric systems, the winds, then the humidity, and how everything occurs.
Jim Arthur speaks clearly on the topic of clouds. What we have here, when it's written down, is a really good paragraph. A good paragraph consists of three main parts: a topic sentence, supporting sentences, and developing sentences. Let's start by looking at the topic sentence. The topic sentence provides the main idea of the paragraph. It tells us what the paragraph is about. Here's Jim Arthur introducing the subject he will be discussing.
Clouds have two effects.
Clouds have two effects. This is Jim's topic sentence. There are two parts to his topic sentence. Clouds have two effects. The first part tells us the subject. The subject is clouds. The second part tells us the controlling idea. The controlling idea is that clouds have two effects. This is what the rest of the paragraph will discuss. Let's listen to Jim discussing the effects.
Now, clouds obviously decrease the amount of incoming radiation, that is heating, from the sun.
In his second sentence, Jim states one of the effects of clouds that relates to and supports the topic sentence. Clouds decrease the amount of incoming radiation. This sentence is called a supporting sentence. Listen to him continue.
That then affects how many more clouds form. It affects how hot it gets in the daytime.
These two sentences further develop or support the idea expressed in the supporting sentence. They're called developing sentences. Developing sentences provide examples, back up, explain, illustrate, or clarify the point made in the supporting sentence. Listen to the next sentence in the paragraph.
At the same time, clouds at night time prevent radiation or heat escaping from the Earth.
This is the second supporting sentence in the paragraph. It supports the topic sentence. It gives the second effect of the clouds. They prevent radiation or heat escaping from the Earth. Now Jim develops the idea further.
This not only affects temperatures, but it affects the atmospheric systems, the winds, then the humidity, and how everything occurs.
Jim clarifies the information in a developing sentence. He tells us that clouds affect atmospheric systems, winds, and humidity. Let's summarise how paragraphs work. Paragraphs consist of related sentences that develop an idea. The idea is introduced in the topic sentence. The idea is supported in the supporting sentences. The idea is further developed with examples or clarification in the developing sentences. There are different ways to structure a paragraph, but these basic elements occur in all of them. When you practice writing paragraphs, try to make the ideas clear and provide details to strengthen the points you are making. Also do this when you're speaking. An important feature of a good paragraph is coherence. Arranging your ideas logically will help provide coherence and get your message across. Now let's look at some vocabulary about the weather. The clips we've seen feature a weather expert, Jim Arthur, talking about clouds. He's a meteorologist. He studies meteorology, the science that looks at processes in the Earth's atmosphere that cause different weather conditions. Jim works in Darwin, the capital of the Northern Territory in Australia. Let's listen to him talk about the particular weather conditions around Darwin.
Around Darwin we get tropical cyclones because we're close to that hot water to the north of us. We also get continental thunderstorms that come off the land, very violent thunderstorms with a mixture of hot, arid, dry air and hot, humid air. We get monsoons, classic monsoons, where the northwest monsoons come in for weeks on time.
Jim mentioned 3 words describing weather: cyclones, thunderstorms, and monsoons. These words describe severe and in some cases violent weather conditions. A cyclone is a violent tropical storm or hurricane. A thunderstorm is a storm with thunder and lightning. A monsoon is a period of heavy rains and the wind that brings those rains. Many words used in English originally came from other languages. We use them so often that we no longer regard them as foreign. Let's look at some weather words we've borrowed. Cyclone is from a Greek word. Monsoon is a Portuguese word. Typhoon, which is a tropical cyclone or hurricane, is from the Chinese typhoon, meaning extreme wind. Tsunami, a large destructive wave caused by an earthquake, is from the Japanese word meaning harbour wave.
Alright, maybe this is a bit off topic and time is crucial, so we're going to skip it. Let me proceed now to cohesion, paragraph, structure and cohesion. As I said, I've already talked about this, but let me make it more organized by going through the slides I have prepared. By the way, if you want a detailed discussion of cohesion and coherence, you can watch a video, a recorded video, one of the classes I had with some students, and it's uploaded on my YouTube channel. You can watch for it if you can watch it if you're interested to know more. But for purposes of this class, we're going to look now at some slides concerning coherence and cohesion, because as we have said, it's not enough that we have a topic sentence and supporting and developing sentences and the concluding sentence. The sentences must be related to one another, so there are mechanisms that we use to achieve such relatedness, such connectedness. This comes under the discussion of coherence and cohesion. Coherence is the broader picture. Let's look at what coherence is and cohesion is briefly. And so, in addition to the structure of the paragraph, a paragraph has to be also cohesive and coherent. Remember this. Has to be cohesive and coherent to make sense. This is especially if you want to write. In academic writing, all pieces of academic writing require, all pieces of academic writing, whether it's a paragraph, an essay, a report, a paper, academic writing requires you to organize your writing into cohesive and coherent paragraphs. These words are not redundant. Cohesive comes under coherent. Coherence is the larger picture. We'll see what is the difference and how we can achieve these two aspects of good writing, academic writing. So the paragraph itself, being the basic underlying unit for writing, your writing, needs of course to be cohesive and coherent. Cohesion and coherence. Well, okay. Again, quickly, texts in English have two types of structure. Excuse me, have I made the presentation? Can you see the slides? Why don't you say, remind me when I forget, law? Okay, what about now?
Yes, we do, Doctor.
Yes, you can see it, Doctor.
Okay, I've just mentioned this slide. That all pieces of academic writing require you to organize your writing into cohesive and coherent paragraphs. The paragraph, being the basic underlying unit for any piece of writing, needs to be cohesive and coherent. Cohesion and coherence. Texts have structure and texture, which create unity in the text. So each, excuse me, you know, another way to call this unit, or another title for this unit, is unity of structure, paragraphs, unity of structure and unity of texture. So here, paragraphs, I will write under this title another synonymous title, and that is paragraphs, unity of structure and unity of texture. What does this mean? We've already talked about unity of structure. So we want to focus more on unity of texture. Connectedness, relatedness, coherence, cohesion. So every text in English, whether it's a paragraph, whether it's an essay, whether it's a report, every text must have two types of unity for it to be cohesive and coherent. All texts exhibit two types of unity. Unity of structure and unity of texture. Unity of structure, in unity of structure refers to how the text of a particular genre structure. So if you look at the essay, it has its own structure, parts. For example, introduction, body, conclusion. If you look at how newspaper articles are written, they have their own structure. If you look at report writing, paper writing, paragraph writing, menu writing, email writing, so different genres have different structures. We've just talked about one genre, and that is the paragraph. And the paragraph is important because most writings are made up of paragraphs. And we've just said that the paragraph structurally has three parts. So each genre or type of writing has its own structure. We've just said that the essay has its own also structure. A news article or a news report has its own structure also. For example, a press reportage has a prearranged structure. A headline, a byline, and a lead. So we talk about a headline, a byline, and a lead. You may study this in a course about media writing, or you may have studied this if you've taken media writing. I don't want to talk about the structure of report writing because this is not the issue. The thing is that each type of writing has its own structure to achieve unity. So if you're writing a report, you have to stick to that structure for your writing to be understood as a report. If you want to write an essay, you have to stick to the formula of essay writing for it to be understood as an essay. Now let's move on to the other type of unity, and that is unity of texture. Texts also have texture. These are the linguistic, these are the cohesive devices that ensure that all parts of a text fit together. The word therefore, for instance, signals that one clause is a logical consequence of a preceding clause or clauses. So the key word here is cohesive devices. Again, texts also have texture. What is texture? These are the cohesive devices that ensure that all parts of a text fit together, and so creating a coherent and cohesive, or cohesive and coherent text. And so creating a cohesive and coherent writing or text. I will delete the example here because we're going to give examples. Excuse me, is this clear to you? Kishan, can you read this statement about texture? We know structure now. We're discussing texture.
Texts also have texture, cohesive devices that ensure that all parts of a text fit together, and so creating a cohesive and coherent text.
Is this understood to you?
Yes.
I have modified even the title of this slide. So let's now then talk about the cohesive devices that can create texture. I've already, if you look at the chat here, I've already mentioned some of these cohesive devices. Pronouns, synonyms, repetition of typical words, discourse markers, conjunctions, all these are cohesive devices. They help create the other type of unity, texture. And so it's important to have these two types of unity for a text, whatever text you write. And when you read, look for these devices used to create such unity in terms of the structure, the parts, and in terms of the texture. Okay. Cohesive devices can be discussed under coherence and cohesion. What is coherence? Coherence is the logical organization. I have already said that. The logical organization and the smooth flow of ideas in a piece of discourse through paragraphing and sequencing. Coherence is the internal logic in a text. It is textual semantics. It is the quality of being logical and consistent, the quality of forming a unified whole. Coherence refers to the overall tie of the text. It is the unity of the text as a whole to express one topic. It is textual semantics. So simply, coherence is the logical organization and the smooth flow of ideas in a text. So a text that is coherent means that it is easy to read. The ideas are logically ordered. And using devices, cohesive devices that make it easy to follow. Okay? The sentences are connected in such a way as to make the ideas smoothly flow. Progression of ideas. Cohesion is the grammatical and lexical linking So two types, grammatical and lexical. Linking within a text or sentence that holds a text together and gives it meaning. It is related to the broader concept of coherence we have just discussed. How can we achieve coherence to make a paragraph or a text coherent? Look at these things quickly. By having unity of structure, by having topic sentence, by having, if you're writing more than one paragraph, by having a thesis statement, by having a method of organization, by having a method or pattern of organization. And by the way, the next class will be about methods of organization next week. If you take a quick look at the title of the next week discussion, identifying patterns. So patterns of organization. The topic sentence, if it's only one paragraph, or the thesis statement, if it's an essay, will usually indicate also the method of organization, whether the author is using the cause-effect method, or the problem-solution method, or the process method, or the compare-contrast method, advantages pattern, narrative pattern, etc., etc. If I say, for example, if I want to write an essay, and this is the thesis statement, let's say there are 3 steps involved in making lasagna, delicious lasagna. So this is obviously a process paragraph or essay, a process. How do I know? Steps. 3 steps. So this is a process. The writer is going to show me step by step how lasagna is being made. So the method of organization is being indicated. If I say Malaysians can be classified according to their ethnicity into 3 groups: Malays, Indians, and the Chinese. What method of organization is being used or going to be used in this essay or piece of discourse? Obviously, division and classification. The writer has already divided Malaysians, classified Malaysians according the basis of division, or for division, the organizing principle is ethnicity, and divided the Malaysians, the topic, into 3 groups according to their ethnicity: Malays, Chinese, and Indians. So this is a classification essay or piece of writing. So having a method of organization, a clear method of organization, can help achieve coherence. The 4th method or way to achieve coherence is the cohesion. Is having cohesion. In other words, having cohesive devices. So let's talk more about now cohesive devices. I've already mentioned them above: synonyms, pronouns, repetition of keywords, discourse markers, conjunctions. But let's have a more detailed, organized discussion also quickly. And so cohesion is 2 types. We can achieve cohesion lexically, and we can achieve cohesion grammatically. By the way, both coherence and cohesion come from the Latin word cohere, which means to link or stick together. So both of them have to do with how ideas are linked to one another. So back to cohesion. There are two ways to achieve cohesion: lexical and grammatical. Lexical is through the use of synonyms. When you use a synonym, you know that this synonym word was used before. You are talking about a beautiful woman, now you say gorgeous. So the word gorgeous links to beautiful in the previous sentence. So synonyms can be used to link sentences together. This is lexical. Another tool of lexical cohesion is the use of repetition of keywords, topical words. If the topic is Malaysians, then you repeat Malaysians. If the topic is homeschooling, you repeat homeschooling. If the topic is environmental pollution, you repeat environmental pollution, or you use a synonym. Another way for lexical cohesion is to use collocations. And I think we had a full class about collocations. So this is lexical cohesion. Grammatical cohesion can be achieved through 5 things. Very quickly, these are, here I have mentioned in the chat, discourse markers, 1, conjunctions, 2, pronouns, 3. There are 2 ways to achieve grammatical cohesion. All these elements can help create cohesion, and so coherence, the larger picture. I will upload these slides, or I will check if I have uploaded them, then okay. If I haven't, then I will upload them on my Guru, and I will also WhatsApp them to you so that you can look at them. Cohesion acts like cement that binds the bricks, the words and the phrases in a wall, the text. So you can think of the text as a wall, and the words and the phrases as the bricks, and the cohesive devices as the cement that binds together these bricks. So the job of cohesion is like the job of cement. What does cement do? You have your bricks, you use the cement to stick these bricks together to come up with a solid, strong wall. The wall is the text. The words are the bricks. How can you have a wall at the end without cement? How can you have a good piece of writing without cohesion? Metaphorically speaking. Types of cohesion, we've already said that we have 2 types: lexical cohesion based on structural content, and grammatical cohesion based on lexical content. Oh, it's the other way around. It's the other way around. What's that? It's the other way around, Satyawan. Lama. Let's say cut. What happens? Lama. Based on structural content. Okay, and this is based on lexical content. Alama. Okay. Lexical cohesion, lexical content, structural content. Okay, looks okay now. Lexical cohesion can be achieved, as I said, through 3 things: repetition of keywords, synonyms and antonyms, and collocations. In the textbook, there is a discussion of synonyms. Grammatical cohesion can be achieved through these 5 things: conjunctions like but, however, therefore. Okay. They help show relationships and how sentences are related. Discourse markers, first, second, after that, another devastating effect, another factor, another advantage. These discourse markers that you know. Transitions, a simpler term is transitions or the transition signals. Referencing, the use of pronouns, whether to refer back or forward, because a pronoun means that there is an antecedent. It refers either back or forward, and so pronouns then help create connectedness. They show what is related to what and how they are related. Ellipsis and substitution. Ellipsis and substitution. Let's read this statement and then see ellipsis and substitution. We use such cohesive devices to show relationships between ideas and to help in the smooth flow of those ideas. They help your ideas flow between sentences and paragraphs. Here you have substitution and you have ellipsis. Since the time is over, you can please read substitution and ellipsis in this slide on your own at home, or as I said, you can also watch. There is a video uploaded on my YouTube called Coherence and Cohesion in Reading and Writing. If you have the time, you can watch it, or else you just read the slide, so whichever works for you. So in conclusion, unity of structure and unity of texture. Coherence and cohesion. Coherence is the logical unity and organization of ideas in a text. Lack of coherence means that points within one paragraph are unrelated, or paragraphs within text are unrelated. The text should not sound like a list of bullet points, like a list. An idea should be placed in a logical order and easy to follow. This is coherence. Cohesion is the connectedness of sentences through linguistic and discursive means. Through linguistic, that is lexical and grammatical, the two types, and discursive. When we move beyond the sentence, discourse means which allows to achieve a smooth text flow effect. Cohesive devices include grammatical devices such as conjunctions, reference words, pronouns, for example, ellipsis and substitution, and lexical devices, including repetition of words, synonyms, and collocations. That's it, guys, about the class. So we have talked about paragraph in terms of the unity of structure and the unity of texture. Please go through the exercises in the textbook. If you have any question, you can always ask me. Enjoy life, have fun. We shall meet next week. Okay? See you guys.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Guys, you may come down. Muhammad.
She is with mommy. She's feeding her.
turn on the TV, ask your sister to come down.
جورين جورين تعالي تحت. Let me go and buy the hormones. The mama wants me to get 3 cans of tomato paste. So I took 20. Because one is like almost 5.
Fine.